Alrighty guys, welcome back to another LEGO set review from BrickByBrick, and today we have set number 80103. This is the LEGO Chinese New Year Dragon Boat Race. I guess technically not New Year, but this was one of the 3 Chinese New Year sets released in 2019 by the LEGO Group. It was originally released exclusively in Asia and Australia and that part of the world, but after, fan kind of backlash, I guess, sort of in a way, or frustration that these Chinese New Year sets, the first 2, were not available elsewhere in the world because a lot of people wanted them. The LEGO Group decided that they were going to stop, or that every set that was released as a regional exclusive would eventually be released overseas within like 6 months, I think, was the official. I don't remember exactly what the official press release said, but this was released on May 1st in Singapore, Hong Kong, etc., all of those Asian countries that got the first 2 Chinese New Year sets, and retailed for 84.9 Singapore dollars, which is around $65 US. So that's kind of the price we were expecting when it came over here, and that was on May 1st. And I think it reached certain places in Europe in mid-June, but over here in the US, we got it on July 1st, and its retail price was a surprisingly low $50, which, for 643 pieces, 15 minifigures, some pretty substantial builds along with those minifigures, obviously based on the part count. Like, look at the number of figures on the top of the box. That's kind of a lot for a set of this size. So, I mean, it looks like it's a fantastic deal on paper, and spoiler alert, the build is pretty large and pretty substantial, and it definitely still is going to feel like a substantial build once we've looked at all that. So here's the full build. You'll see we have 2 dragon boats, which are very similar in build. This is a little bit repetitive there, but it is still a fun thing to put together, and there are significant differences between the 2. We'll take a look at each separately. We also have this whole stand in the back for observers, and I guess the judge up there. And we have 2 of these little buoys. So there's a lot going on here. And, well, Dragon Boat is in the name of the set, so we probably should start with those. You'll notice that this is a pretty long thing. It totals almost 48 studs in length, which is pretty significantly long. It is very thin, but that makes sense. They did a pretty good job of approximating the overall proportions of one of these dragon boats. It's about 4 studs wide. Like you see, it's 2 studs wide in the center, 2 actual studs, and then we have these side sections that are about a stud thick, but they're angled out, so it's probably maybe closer to 5 studs thick. The tail can be angled up and down a little bit. It's just on to standard bar connections, and you can get a shape sort of like that. I guess you can sort of angle the sides out a little, but they're meant to be pushed in all the way. I like the build on the end of the tail. It looks pretty good. It's got the green and the red, and I guess the overall color scheme of this is red and yellow, but there's a little bit of green thrown through as a nice little accent. We have room for the guy in the back to steer. You see these paddles for all of them. This guy's a longer oar because he's basically the guy who steers the boat side to side, and then everyone else just kind of paddles. And then we have the drummer up at the front who helps keep all of the who helps keep everyone in sync with each other. And notice that we have these stickers that create a scale pattern going all the way down the side of the dragon boat, and that is continued onto the other side. It also has wheels, so it can move back and forth, so you can actually have your dragon boats racing, and they'll move along smoothly. The thing that shocked me was apparently this is a new color, this black for the wheels there. As you can see, I swear that these have to have been made before, but I could not find a single instance of them, so I guess maybe they must be new. One interesting thing is the instructions tell you to put this guy on those studs, but that's impossible. And the drum is built very simply, and up front we have the most interesting section of the build, which is the dragon's head, and this can be angled up and down. You got a click hinge down at the bottom and a click hinge up here at the neck, and the neck section looks fine. It uses these curved angled curved slope things. We use some flippers here and these kind of leaf-ish pieces. Creates a pretty good shape. They're in two different colors, so you get multiple colors of green in there. We have this dark red croissant used for the nose. That looks really cool, and that's an interesting building technique. The eyes are done pretty cool. They're done using those 1x1 round plates with the bar sticking out, and you stick hollow studs on them, and that gets a little bit of a pupil in there. That looks really nice, actually, and it's an interesting technique. And you can open and close the mouth, and the mouth is just done with one of these pieces on the bottom, and it looks pretty good overall. And you do have seats for all of the figures that are included, but if you really wanted to squeeze this in and you got some more of these figures, you probably could squeeze in one figure there, and one figure there to beef up your crew. And the other boat is pretty similar in overall build. It does use a couple more colors here. We have multiple different shades of green, as well as a little bit of gold in here, and some of this flame yellowish orange. And it even brings in a little bit of blue back here, which I guess there was a little bit of black in the last one in the place of where this blue is. But the tail build is pretty much the same, just different colors, obviously. You got room for the helmsman back here to be able to steer, as on the other boat. It does use red for the oars here, which I believe these have existed before, but I think the yellow ones are more common because they were introduced first. And, again, we'll see all these figures later. We also have the drummer up here, also has wheels, and the most different section of this build is, again, the most interesting section, which is the head. And here we use one of these car hood areas as kind of the forehead of this dragon, and one of these telephone pieces up front. It looks good, and these pieces you can move in and out. They're cool to get, and I don't know, I like the use of the croissant on the other one, and I might like the overall shape, but I do wish that the other one had some sort of representation of something like these gold pieces, just because I think that adds a really cool touch. But, overall, both of the dragon boats are pretty comparable. Oh, I guess I probably should have shown you the scaling detail, and that is, again, carried onto both sides of this dragon boat. But, otherwise, it's a very, very similar build. But they do look really cool next to each other, and they do have some things that make them different. The other small little side build are these two little finish line posts, and they do have inverted color schemes from each other, but they're both built on 4x4 blue round plates, and have flags. You could pull these flags off and use them in minifigures' hands if you wanted to. Maybe as little flags for spectators to root on either side, but other than that, they're very small, very simple. But you can just move them around to wherever and, move your dragon boat through them. It's like, woo, they finished. And then here we have the single largest build in the set. It is about the same length as one of the dragon boats, from, like, in the horizontal direction. Obviously this is turned a little bit, so I think if you were to lay all of these areas out straight, it would be a little bit longer, slightly, than the dragon boat race itself, or than the dragon boats itself, I mean. We'll start with the largest section of this, and this is the judge's stand. It does have a trophy in there, which, that's, I believe, originated with the Series 8 football player. They've been reusing it since, and that's just on the little stand there, which the stand is built up decently. You can't remove the roof here, but from the back we do get pretty good access, and I'll show you that in a second. There are a lot of these kind of flex tubes here, which are just clipped in place, and you don't trim them or anything in the set. I got some stickers here with the intertwined dragons, and underneath there's actually some cool stuff going on as far as terrain or scenery, I guess, where we've got these 1x2 translite blue tiles, which give the water a cool look, and we have a frog right over here, a little bit of foliage in the back, and a little bit of grass in that area. You'll see that better from the back. We also have two lily pads, which are created with those just those green painter's palettes, and those are really cool because they only come in Ninjago City and the Ninjago City docks. So this is by far the easiest way to get them. We do have the judge sitting up there, and I like the build up here for this decoration element that uses these hot dog pieces and just some various colors. Creates a cool look. And if we turn this whole stand around, you can see from the back that other than the trophy stand, it pretty much just is empty space for our judge. We will see him with the figures later. But, it looks pretty good. And there are some stairs leading down to this next platform, which there's nothing going on the back here. And it really just is, empty space for people to stand. We got our spectators, 2 flags here. I guess rooting on the different teams. And then in the final area here, we have this Zongzi Shop. I hope I pronounced that right. But there's this little area where you would put a shopkeeper, and I guess this is our shopkeeper, so we might want to move them back there. But it does use these printed cheese slope tiles, or not printed cheese slopes, in tan for the dried stuff. And then you do have 2 green ones, which are the uncooked ones, I believe. And then we have these leaves, which is what you would wrap the stuff up with. And, if we were to take this and turn it around, you can see from this side we have this bucket here. It does appear that that is probably rice that they would use to fill up these bamboo leaves. But, it doesn't really show what other kind of filling, because I guess, upon further research, Zongzi is made of rice stuffed with the filling and then wrapped in a bamboo leaf. I like the stickers up here for the little flag area, and from the front that area looks good. And there is a whole bunch of space for you to pose figures around there. And there's a sign here that shows you the Zongzi and that this person is selling it. From the front of this area, you do have those trans blue tiles, and it looks relatively consistent and just uses one of these flex tubes as sort of a barrier. It is interesting that, well, I mean, I guess it's not that interesting, but it is one thing to note that they don't have a barrier on the stairs. First 2 minifigures we'll take a look at are the Zongzi salesman and the little kid, who's potentially a customer, maybe not. But both these figures contain no exclusive pieces or anything, but, we do have a nice torso and legs from the Lego Ninjago movie on the salesman here, as well as a Sensei Wu rice hat. Nice facial print. It's not exclusive or anything, but, it's been around for a while. The torso print on the little kid is cool. It's nice seeing those, the medium blue, right? On the short legs there. I don't know how often I've seen those. I know they're not new or anything, but they're not the most common. And we do have an alternate expression for the little kid where he's a little bit sad. And, his hair is a pretty reasonable choice as well. Next up we have 2 of the Spectators, and, neither of these, again, have exclusive pieces at all. We do have a flag for each of them. We have a yellow flag for this guy, and a dark red flag for the girl. And I guess they're rooting on both of the teams, but yellow and dark red seem like odd choices because they both seem to correspond to the red boat. I guess maybe the yellow can correspond to the green one, possibly, but it's a little bit weird because there's no actual yellow on that, just flame yellowish orange. I don't know. I guess maybe it's possible that there are no fans of the green team. That's unfortunate, but whatever. We do have an additional Zongzi print there on a cheese slope that is one of his accessories, and torso prints are both good. I like this flannel torso, but it's becoming more and more common. As well as on the back, we have some torso printing, and neither of the figures have an alternate face. The hair for the girl is a little bit uncommon in that color, but it's a pretty common piece that they use for the guy here. And last up, for figures that are not, riders of the dragon boats, we have the little judge here, and he's a relatively older looking guy, got gray hair, and pretty decent face print. It's not ridiculously common, but it's a nice design. And he's got a suit that, again, is not the most common thing in the world, so this is a good figure and some useful pieces. And as for the dragon boat racers themselves, there are 5 figures on each team, and we've got the people on the red boat with this outfit here, and the people on the green boat with this outfit here. And these are the drummers from both of them, so they both have 2 Harry Potter wands as the drumsticks, which is a pretty appropriate part usage, actually. I like that they were able to, get something that looks pretty good, actually. And the torso and leg prints are exclusive to this set. There are 5 of each of the torsos and 5 of each of the legs in the set. And every character on each boat race team has the same torso and legs, but they have differing faces and heads, and faces and hair pieces. And both of these figures that are the drummers, both of them have alternate facial expressions. This guy's a little bit scared. Maybe he's falling behind. And this guy seems like he would be falling behind because he's getting a little bit seasick. Continuing on the list, we have 2 more rowers. This guy uses the Clutch Powers hair, and this guy uses Cole's hair from the Ninjago movie, which is still a relatively uncommon part. And as far as both of these figures go, this guy has an alternate facial expression. This guy's pretty happy, but this guy's sweating. Neither of these have alternate facial expressions. And I should point out that each of the last 3 sets of figures we've looked at each have an ore that's assembled like that. And both of these figures actually have faces that are reused. There's 2 of each of these face print in the set. And this hairpiece is pretty cool, not super common, but his face print is also used several times throughout the set. It's actually used 3 times on one of the other rowers and the Spectator dude with the Zongzi. And again, another use of that Clutch Powers hairpiece. They do a pretty good job of diversifying the face prints and hairpieces used, but there are a couple that get duplicated. However, they aren't used, with the same face and hair combination, so they do all look unique. And as we saw on the boats before, these 2 both have the longer ore assemblies. Overall, I like a lot of what is going on here. I think that the stand here is pretty neat and very well done. The boats themselves, too, the build is a little bit on the repetitive side, but they come out looking pretty good, and they're a lot larger than I was expecting them to be. And I think the biggest thing this set has going for it is its price. It's $50 for 15 minifigures. That's as many as in a people pack where, you just have really, small, you have a couple, maybe 20-piece builds, and then 15 minifigures, and, those are sold for $40. So, basically, in this case, you could spend $10 more and get a much, much more substantial build, and I think that, at this price, the set is completely worth it. Whether or not, you like this, and would really, if you like what you see, that sort of determines whether or not I would recommend you buy it. I think it's definitely worth everybody taking a look at and considering, because the retail price is fantastic. And I got this on Black Friday when they discounted it to 20% off, which made it $40. And at that price, I think it's pretty much an absolute steal, and would recommend it to just about anyone. So, anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this review. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Do you guys own the set? Did you buy it? Are you trying to buy it before you miss out on it completely? I think it's still available. I don't think it's sold out completely yet, but it is retiring soon. So, anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this review. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll see you guys all next time. Bye, everyone.